The song came out over the radio, and one of the ladies named Sandy stopped me mid-sentence and said, wait, that song. And I went, what? What's up with the song? She goes, oh man, that song just really takes me back. I said, what takes you back to where, what? And she goes, there was that one boy in high school. He just broke my heart. And you know the song. It goes like this. Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered for your touch a long, lonely time. Now, the scary thing was this lady was 50-something years old, right? And every time that song came on over the radio, it just kidnapped her focus and took her to another place in time without her permission. Now, how about you? How many of you guys have a song that takes you back to another place in time without your permission? Or how about a scent? For some of you, it may be the smell of burning leaves in the fall, the smell of fresh-cut grass, the smell of lavender. For guys, it's that perfume, right? Ooh, baby. But that's a whole different story, right? So what else is competing for your focus? There's text messages, email, Crackberry, right? How many of you guys have a Crackberry? The iPod, the iPad, the iPhone, I can't keep up, right? You know the best way to get rid of a bad song that's stuck in your head? Turn on the radio. Turn on the radio. It's a 100% foolproof method. You know why? Because psychiatrists have taught us that the human brain can only hold on to so many thoughts at one time. That's why they're trying to outlaw talking on your cell phone or texting while driving. They say it impairs your driving as much as alcohol does. And I say, yeah, but it doesn't give you the same buzz. It doesn't. The other day I was talking on my cell phone, I was driving, and I knew where I had to turn. I'd turned down that road hundreds of times before, and I missed my turn. Does that ever happen to you? You go about a mile past it, and you go, where was I? What's going on? Your mind can only hold on to so much information at one time. How many of you guys have ever read a page out of a book or out of a report and had no recollection of what you just read? What do? You read it again, right? Now, how many of you guys can admit that you've read the same page 2 or 3 times and still had no recollection of what you just read? That happens to me, and that's kind of scary because I'm a lawyer. So you can just see me looking at your contract, you know. Pretty soon my eyes kind of glaze over. I go, looks good, go ahead and sign it. You know? The mind can only hold on to so many thoughts at one time. But heroes and legends throughout history have learned the tools, the tricks, and techniques to take back their focus in the heat of the battle and during troubled times, and that's what I want to share with you today. There's at least 4 tools that heroes and legends have used throughout history to take back their focus. The first one is the power of pictures. The power of pictures. Pictures are the most primitive and oldest form of communication known to man. 30,000 years ago, cavemen were using pictures to communicate. And you know what they drew in their caves, right? You've seen those pictures. They're drawing mastodons and buffalo and antelope. What were they thinking about? The great hunts. Not just hunting, the great hunts. Because the great hunts represented bounty and plenty, good times gone by, and it gave them something to look forward to in the future. It gave them a handhold, something to look forward to in the future, right? And if you look into one of those caves, you can kind of listen in to their stories. Hey, Pata, did you see me kill that saber-tooth tiger with my bare hands? Man, it was awesome. First I went like this, and then like, where's the tiger? He said, and the guy in the cave's going, wait, he said, what? Do that again? Wait, one more time. You know? Do the power pictures still work today? Is the question. I think they do. In the 1960s, there was a little Hispanic kid living in East Los Angeles. And he had been abandoned by his father and by his mother. And he was now being raised by an alcoholic grandfather and a very abusive grandmother. And every day they would tell him he was ugly and stupid, it would never amount to anything. And to escape his misery, he would watch comedy on TV. And his favorite show of all time was a show called Chico and the Man. You guys remember that show? And the star of that show was a guy named Freddie Prinze. And this kid idolized Freddie Prinze. Freddie Prinze was his hero. And he had a big giant poster of Freddie, and he hung it on his wall. And every night he'd go to bed staring at Freddie. And one night when he was about 17 years old, he was staring at Freddie, and he sat up. And he realized something. He goes, wait a minute. I can do that. I can be funny. I can make people laugh. And he quickly scribbled down these words. He said, one day I will make America laugh. I will hit America like a hammer, and I will be the best. Now keep in mind at that moment, there was absolutely no evidence to support that statement. Keep in mind at that moment, he had never done stand-up comedy in his whole life. Keep in mind at that moment, everybody around him was telling him he was ugly and stupid. It would never amount to anything. And in the years that followed, he did do stand-up comedy, but he bombed in club after club after club. And he actually had to quit the comedy club circuit for 5 years to do manual labor, to survive. But he came back and he kept coming back, and eventually he had his own primetime television show called The George Lopez Show, right? And when I thought about that story, I thought, how did these things happen? How in the world did that little Mexican kid living in poverty in East Los Angeles grow up to be a national celebrity? And I realized that George Lopez had done the same thing that heroes and legends have done for thousands of years. And that as he focused on the person that he wanted to become, and he kept his mind on that kind of person until he became his own hero. He became the person he idolized. Now be careful. There's a philosophy going around today that says if you want a bright red Ferrari, all you have to do is visualize it, imagine it, hope for it, pray for it, wish for it, and one day you walk out of your house and there in your driveway will be a bright red Ferrari. It doesn't work. I've tried it. That's not what heroes and legends do. Heroes and legends don't focus on the tangible things they want, right? They focus on the intangible things. They focus on the kind of person they have to become in order to achieve those tangible things. It's the same thing Chris Gardner did. You guys saw the movie Pursuit of Happiness, right? He was a black guy living on the street, homeless, and he saw a guy pull up in a bright red Ferrari. He goes up to the guy and said, hey, who are you? And what do you do that allows you to afford to drive this kind of car? And he said, well, I'm a stockbroker. So from that day forward, Chris Gardner swore that he would become a stockbroker so that he could become the kind of person that he needed to be in order to achieve that kind of financial status and drive that kind of car, and he did. In the years that followed, he did, and he became a millionaire and eventually bought a bright red Ferrari. Don't be confused. It's not about the tangible objects. Don't be visualizing tangible things. Visualize the same thing that heroes and legends have visualized for thousands of years, and that's the kind of person you have to become in order to achieve those things. And that leads us to the second tool that heroes and legends have used for thousands of years to take back their focus, and that is the power of mantra. The power of mantra. You guys have heard a lot about affirmations. That's sort of the phrase du jour these days, affirmations, you know, and you saw the little video, I'm the greatest, I love my house, I love my cat, I love my whatever. Right? Mantra is a little bit different. It's similar, but it's different. In the 1970s, there was a banker in Austin, Texas. He was about to be indicted for fraud. Now, he knew he was innocent, and his whole family and all of his employees knew he was innocent. But he couldn't stand the shame and the embarrassment that this was going to bring on his family, so he decided to kill himself. And he had a gun in his hand. And at the last minute, he called a preacher named Gerald Mann. And he told Gerald Mann the story. And Gerald Mann did what most preachers would do. He said, well, let's pray. Let me read you some scriptures. It's going to be okay. Just hang in there. And the guy got frustrated and irritated with Gerald Mann. He said, you're full of it. And just before he hung up, Gerald Mann said, wait. Nothing bad has happened yet. Wait to worry. Wait to worry. Wait to worry. And the phone went dead. Click. And the next day, the newspapers announced in the headlines this man had been indicted for fraud. And he spent the next 3 years defending himself and about $300,000. But he was acquitted of all charges, and his name was cleared. And one day he saw Gerald Mann at a function, and he ran up to Gerald Mann and he hugged him and he said, Gerald, I can't thank you enough. Those 3 little words saved my life. Those 3 little words. And Gerald Mann said, what 3 little words? He goes, don't you remember? Wait to worry. Wait to worry. Wait to worry. And when I thought about that story, I thought, wow, that's the power to take back your focus. If those 3 little words can change somebody else's focus, can our own words change our own focus? And I believe they can. Every hero and legend throughout history has had some sort of mantra, some sort of tool, some sort of crutch that they used to take back their own focus. You guys know who the general Hannibal was, right? He was the Carthaginian general that took a whole herd of elephants over the Alps and invaded Rome from the north. The Romans thought they could never be invaded from the north because they're surrounded by mountains. Hannibal did it, and he did it with a herd of elephants, and he almost crushed Rome. He came the closest to any general in history to crushing Rome. Hannibal had a saying that said, "We will either find a way or make one." We will either find a way or make one. And when I was a baby lawyer, I hung that quote over my desk because I truly believed that there was no legal problem for which I could not find the solution. And over the years, I changed it up and made it my own. And today I have a quote over my desk that says, "There is no such thing as a problem without a solution." There is no such thing as a problem without a solution. And I made my paralegal and my staff and my secretary and everybody put that same quote over their desks because I don't want them focusing on the problems. I want them focusing on the solution. About 10 months ago, I went backpacking in the Amazon jungle. It was an incredible experience. And I remember we'd gone about 100 yards into the jungle, and our Amazon Indian guide had already identified at least 10 things that could severely injure me or kill me. 100 yards, right? And we were going to be there for a whole week. Yeah. But within that same 100 yards, he had also pointed out some plant, some scum, some bird poop that could actually heal me of the thing that had just injured me or potentially could have killed me. And we hiked with this guy for about a week, and it never failed. Every time he pointed out some bird or snake or insect or critter that could hurt me or kill me, just around the corner was the very thing that could cure me. And I said to the guy, "Isn't that weird? That there's always just around the corner some cure for the thing that just hurt me?" And he said, "Duh. How do you think the Amazon Indians survived in the jungle for thousands of years without modern medicine or doctors?" And I thought, wow. And it was as though the universe were confirming to me something I'd always believed, that there is no such thing as a problem without a solution. Say it with me. There is no such thing as a problem without a solution. It is like yin and yang, right? It's like light and darkness. It's like good and evil. It's like Newton's third law of physics. Newton's third law of physics says, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. It's as though the universe has declared a law. There shall be no problem without a solution. But do you believe it? Do you believe it? And that leads us to the third tool that heroes and legends have used for thousands of years to take back their focus in troubled times, and that is the power of belief. 4 days after Lance Armstrong was diagnosed with cancer, he held a press conference in which he boldly declared, he said, "I want you to know that I fully intend to beat this disease." 4 days after he was diagnosed. And further, I will ride again as a professional cyclist. And he did. In the years that followed, he defeated cancer and won 7 Tours de France in a row. It's an amazing phenomenon. It's the power of belief. The cool part is that, a lot of people say, well, it was a miracle and God intervened and that may be true, but Lance Armstrong doesn't even believe in God. He's an agnostic. He's from Austin, Texas. I know the guy. It's the power of belief. It's the power of belief. Now keep in mind at that moment, there was absolutely no evidence to support his statements. Keep in mind at that moment, the cancer had already spread to his lungs and his brain. Keep in mind at that moment, the doctors had only given him 6 months to live. It's the power of belief. You can't let outside forces dictate what you believe. You can't let outside forces dictate what you focus on. And that leads us to the fourth tool that heroes and legends have used for thousands of years to take back their focus. And that is the power of purpose. The power of purpose.